The Outer Banks Visitors Bureau is proud to support the Market Minutes podcast. Through our work with the Outer Banks Long-Range Tourism Management Plan, and as part of the Outer Banks Promise, our pledge to inspire more responsible visitation and better stewardship, one of the promises we encourage community members to make is to support local. Small acts have big impacts. By supporting local artisans and makers that you'll see throughout the markets in the summertime and on this podcast, you're helping to preserve the creativity and spirit that makes this place so special. Make your promise today at obxpromise.com, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to the Market Minutes podcast presented by the Outer Banks Visitors Bureau. I'm your host, Chad Fournier, and I'm here with Amy Snowden from Mary Maveline. Explain what that is. It's kind of, you have miniature watercolors and jewelry, but it goes a little bit beyond that, I think, too.
Well, so Mary Maveline Originals is my jewelry line.
Okay.
I am a painter.
Okay.
I'm a watercolorist. I began my art career painting custom portraits, which I still do. But I wanted to come up with a way to make more affordable original art for people to be able to buy an original painting. And so as I started thinking about smaller and smaller art, I thought, why not be able to wear it? So that is how my jewelry line began.
That's so cool. How do you go from full-size art to making the miniature art? Like what kind of process is that?
Well, that's a good question. It's actually the same process with smaller brushes.
Okay.
I still think through a painting and the composition and the colors and all the things that you think about with a large painting, only I'm doing it with very small brushes on a tiny scale.
So you're painting these on a way smaller scale. Like, it's the same thing you say. Obviously, you're using magnifying glasses and stuff, right?
Well, so far I can get away with readers.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Wow.
So I do paint, with readers and really small brushes. And I'm just very detail oriented. So, which comes from my portrait painting. Mm-hmm. So with portrait painting, you're focusing really on the tiny, minute details of a person's face that makes them who they are in the eyes and in the ears and in every part of a face. And so I think that translates to detail for anything else, a flower or an animal, anything. So that's kind of how my large work translates into my small work.
Do you ever do portrait work on the jewelry?
I have.
How do you do the eyes?
I have. Well, there's obviously a lot less detail because of how small it is. And I have used larger pieces of glass for those pieces. But I have done it.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I should have brought that today to show you.
How did you get started in art?
I have done art my whole life. And interestingly enough, when I came back to it, which I'll get to, I really was always into faces. Even as a child, my parents saved all my art. When they brought it to me when I got back into art later in my life, I noticed it was all faces and portraits. But I got away from it in college. I was always planning to go to art school, and I ended up changing my mind at the last minute and going to business school.
Tell me about that story.
I just didn't want to do commercial art. I love fine art. And I just kept thinking, is that am I going to get a job? Am I going to be able to support myself with fine art? And then I just thought, well, I'm just going to study business. And so I got away from it. And the year I turned 40, I just thought, I need to paint. I've got to get back into this. And so that's when my journey back into art started.
When you were making that decision and you switched to business, was it kind of the mind frame of, if I start doing art for a living, it's going to ruin the passion for me? Did you think that?
I don't think I thought of it that way at the time, and it really hasn't. It really has not done that. That I can see that happening for some people, but actually what I have found is that it's a very good combination. To have a business and marketing background to be able to actually make a living with my art.
Yeah. So the business stuff paid off.
It paid off.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I am very happy to be back to my art.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's where my heart is.
There's kind of something about that just being your own and you putting something into the world out of nothing, just your mind and your skills.
Yeah.
That's just super cool.
Yeah.
So does it take longer or is it a shorter process to do a small piece like this versus your bigger pieces? It seems like the smaller pieces would be shorter because you're not covering as much, but also it's so intricate.
Yeah, it is shorter, I would say. So like if you look at this elephant, if I were to paint an elephant like that on a large scale, it would take me much longer. Because a lot of the detail, even though it looks very detailed small, a lot of the detail does get eliminated as you get smaller. Does that make sense? Than if you were looking. It's like when you magnify something, you see so much more detail than when you step further away from it. It becomes smaller and smaller. So even though my paintings are very detailed, they are less detailed than if they were large paintings.
So explain the process to make a piece like this. How does it go through like beginning to end?
So beginning to end. So first, is my idea. What am I going to paint? And I really have two ways. So I'll explain both. For these more intricate individual paintings like this elephant or a jellyfish I have here, an oyster, I have an iris here. I will decide on the shape of the piece and trace that glass and draw into that small space. And then I paint. Like I said, watercolor, paint with watercolor. And when I'm finished with the painting, I have to let that dry 24 hours. Then I use an archival glue. It's like a bookbinder's glue. So it never yellows, non-acidic, won't destroy the paper or the art. And that's how I attach the glass to the art. And then I use a Dremel sander. And the Dremel sander will trim my paper to the exact size, to the exact shape of the glass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And once I have done that piece, I seal the back with that same archival glue. And then I glue on my sterling silver findings, which actually are custom made for me by a silversmith here in the Outer Banks.
Awesome.
And then I resin over the back of the piece. So it's completely sealed. It's the original piece of art, completely sealed under glass and resin over the back so they can get wet and everything. And then I finish with sterling silver findings, sometimes leather, sometimes chain.
You're making sure it's quality.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Quality is very, very important to me.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's about a 4-day process because glue has to dry before I can sand, and then resin has to dry before I. So it's about a 4-day process, start to end, unless it takes me longer to paint it.
So since you're waiting for the process with the drying and everything, do you batch parts of it together, or are you just doing one at a time?
So that's what I was getting to when I said there's
the second one. Okay, gotcha.
So when I'm doing an individual painting, unique one painting, I'll do that. And then to do, say, this, which has become kind of my signature art, the ocean, which, and visitors come here, they want to take a little bit of that back with them. So that is what I sell the most of, is my beach paintings. And so I will paint a stretch of the ocean. And then I can glue different shapes and sizes of pieces of glass onto the art and make several pieces, which helps me to get bracelets that'll match, or earrings that'll match a necklace. It's all original and unique art because nothing's ever identical.
Right.
But they will match and they'll go together.
Yeah.
And I can get more out of one painting. So
yeah.
So yes, so I do a kind of a batch process and then an individual process.
That's a really cool way to do it. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
How long have you been on the Outer Banks?
5 years.
5 years?
5.5 years.
And where are you from originally?
Well, I moved here from Williamsburg, Virginia.
Okay.
But I kind of grew up all over.
And you're liking it?
Yeah, we love it here. And it has really taken my art business to a whole new level with the opportunities that we have, with the markets. And it's a very art oriented area.
Yeah.
People love it here. So
Are you associated with any galleries around the area?
a little bit. Mostly you have to find me to find my products. The Duck Gallery in Duck, which is a really nice small fine art gallery. She carries some of my pieces in silver only. And there's more of my smaller pieces. And then I have some paintings in the Dragonfly Gallery in Nags Head.
Very cool.
So, but mostly for my jewelry, you have to find me.
And where can people find you online?
No, I don't sell online.
Okay.
I can't keep up.
That makes it even more special, though.
Yes, you have to find me in person. So on my website, marymavelineoriginals.com, you can find my show schedule. And I show from Williamsburg, Yorktown, Norfolk, all the way down to Ocracoke, which is where I'll be next week.
So you're Amy Snowden. Your business is Mary Maveline Originals. Where did the name Mary Maveline come from?
So I wanted to honor my grandmothers, my two grandmothers. So one Mary, one Maveline, and it was my way of honoring their industrious nature, which they both were very industrious women, far beyond the time that they lived in.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about them.
So my grandmother, Maline, was the first person in her family to be educated. She grew up with a dirt floor in Mississippi and was the first person to finish high school and go to college. And she became a teacher and was a dedicated elementary school teacher until she retired. My other grandmother started her own school. She built a school onto her house.
Wow.
And so she was an entrepreneur, businesswoman, and a teacher for her whole career.
That's so cool.
So, yeah, at my age, to have two working grandmothers was just a unique experience, I thought.
Yeah, I'm sure that influenced you.
Yes.
And then you realized your passion is art and your interest is business. And then everything came together to form Mary Maveline, which is a great use of both of their names. And just the natural alliteration rolls off the tongue when you say that. So it worked out really well.
And I thought it was a beautiful name. So,
Yeah, it's really nice. Cool. Amy Snowden, thanks for talking to me.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thanks.